Good morning, zoning administrator and members of the public. For the record, my name is Jesse Harris from Bryan Silver and Associates. I will be presenting the Silver Platter's request for a conditional use permit for alcohol sales for on-site consumption and a specific plan project compliance permit for the installation of their historic sign. So I want to start by saying that this application is really about keeping the doors of a family-owned historic institution open. This isn't just any bar. The Silver Platter is Westlake's oldest LGBTQ plus bar. It's an establishment that's been in the community for more than 60 years, serving some of its most marginalized members. Since 1963, they have operated from the corner of 7th and Rampart, shown here with the red balloon over it. And they have operated proximate to 2 schools and MacArthur Park, which I'll talk more about in just a moment. They've really been a safe haven for the LGBT Latino community for many generations. And honestly, they would love to continue operating from this location, but unfortunately, they are being displaced by a new housing project. So the next best thing for this historic institution to remain the important cultural landmark that it is to stay within the Westlake MacArthur Park neighborhood. And after many months of searching for a new suitable location that would allow them to continue serving the patrons who depended on them for years, they found their proposed new home at 1403 West 3rd Street. And so here's the new proposed location, again shown with the red balloon over it. It's only a few blocks from their current location, so it gives them the opportunity to continue serving their community, and it gives them the best chance at remaining a viable, small, local, family-owned business and neighborhood gathering space. It's worth noting that their new proposed location is also proximate to schools. Namely, it is across the street from Gratz Elementary School and from the Miguel Contreras Learning Complex. And the applicant took this into consideration when planning their operations. It's also worth noting that historic records show that a bar has operated from this new proposed location since at least as far back as 1965. Although the current applicant has no relationship to the previous operator, by seeking a conditional use permit, this applicant's use of the site would be regulated in a way that it just hasn't been by past operators. So they're really looking to bring this existing bar space into compliance with LA City Code. The applicant is also proposing several conditions of approval that were formulated in conversation with LAUSD, with LAPD, and with the council office, including operating hours outside of regular school hours, the provision of an on-site private security guard who would verify the identification of anyone attempting to enter, and a prohibition on advertising any alcohol service or sales visible from outside the bar. Additionally, LAUSD has submitted to the public record several suggested conditions of approval to which the applicant agrees, including no sale of alcoholic beverages for off-site consumption, no outdoor seating, no outdoor alcohol consumption, the provision of security cameras covering all entrances, exits, and adjacent sidewalks, no live entertainment before 6 p.m. on weekdays, no sale of tobacco or vaping products or other nicotine products on the premises. They agreed to coordinate with the local schools during evening school events, including athletic events, and they agreed to return to the zoning administrator for a plan approval hearing 1 year after commencing operations. So as I previously mentioned, the bar has operated in proximity to 2 Equitas Academy school sites for many years. And the principal of those schools wrote a glowing letter of support, saying that there has been no issues, incidents, or complaints in relation to their operations. They go on to say that the establishment has maintained a professional presence and has never interfered with the school's operations, student safety, or community relations. They recognize the Silver Platter's cultural and historic importance as a safe space for Latino and LGBTQ members of the community. And the Silver Platter plans to continue its legacy as an important part of the Westlake MacArthur Park neighborhood. The way that the Silver Platter has been able to be a safe space for so many years to so many people is that it's not a loud, boisterous bar. In fact, I myself lived in the Westlake MacArthur Park neighborhood, and I had no idea that they were there. And that's really the point. It's meant to be a quiet neighborhood gathering space where the people who know that it is a safe space are able to patronize it without worry of being noticed. Its value is in how unassuming it is. And since the announcement of its imminent destruction, there has been an uproar within its quiet community and beyond, showing just what an asset this place has been to so many people for so many years. Stories from the LA Times to LA Taco to Telemundo, even CBS News, have told of its history and have been beseeching the city to keep it around. In the meantime, the Silver Platter's family operators have continued their legacy of being a community stronghold. Since November of last year, they've been conducting weekend food drives from their new location, where nearby residents can pick up free produce and other groceries to sustain them through all the troubling incidents that have plagued this vulnerable community, including ICE raids, reductions in SNAP benefits, and increasing costs of living. The owner of the Silver Platter has also been knocking on doors, talking to nearby business owners, has reached out independently to community stakeholders, including, as previously mentioned, LAPD, LAUSD, the council member, and as many neighbors as she can speak to, really. And the community shows their appreciation back. We've received 40 letters of support for the applicant's current requests, including from neighboring business owners. Since last year, we've been meeting with representatives from multiple stakeholder groups, and we've also received meaningful support from local and national organizations. The bar was included in the 2025 list of endangered Latinx landmarks by the Latinos and Heritage Foundation. Ultimately, this is a small, locally owned business, and we really have to fight to help it survive. So I'll close with contact information for the applicant and myself. We remain an open door for conversation and collaboration for members of the community who have questions, suggestions, or concerns. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful history that you have. And it's wonderful that we're trying to continue it here to the new location. So we will now hear from members, actually LAPD. Sometimes they come, sometimes not. I know you may have said that there's a letter from LAPD of non-opposition, or perhaps there's something in the file. But we also provide them an opportunity to provide comments at the hearing. So if LAPD is here, please press *9 at this time to raise your hand. And I see we do have hands raised, but usually LAPD is a phone number. So I'm not sure if any of these are. How about this? I see some people's hands are raised. If you are LAPD, keep your hand raised. And if you're not LAPD, can you put your hand down? And okay. It looks like nobody here is from LAPD. Okay, perfect. So now I will provide public testimony. So now you can re-raise your hands. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this item will be allowed to give their testimony. If you'd like to speak on this item, please press *9 or click the raise hand icon this time.
Ms. Marie, please unmute.
And I'm not sure if you're speaking.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Sheila Marie Jones. I am a resident of this community and a senior citizen residing at the newly opened Third Time Senior Apartments, a residential community serving seniors and people with disabilities. located just steps from the proposed establishment. I have a prepared statement, but I want to inject right here that my opposition and our group's opposition and the businesses and the people that I have spoken to directly. I know you say you have letters of agreement or acceptance, but I have conversations, and we'll get it in writing, probably from the same people, the business owners that are there, who have told me my Spanish is pretty decent, and who have told me that they are opposed. So we have right there a conflict that would need to be addressed further. And who's actually for it? They say the people are for it. My indication, direct conversation, is that they are opposed. But that's something else. I want to say that the opposition has nothing to do with the clientele. We are not discriminatory against the LGBTQ community. The clientele and the makeup of the clientele, to everyone listening, is
I'm
not...
sorry, Miss Marie, I think you cut off.
Oh, the makeup of the clientele is not our concern.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you again, yes.
Yes, the makeup of the clientele is not our opposition or our concern. Everyone is invited to this, to West 3rd Street and this community, to do business, to associate, and to gather. So I want to make that clear, that is not our opposition, the clientele. We have no discriminate interest in this. So let me continue. I am also the founder of What About Us, a grassroots citizens coalition dedicated to strengthening our communities, rebuilding the Los Angeles garment industry through our So LA 28 initiative, and advocating the rights, safety, and quality of life for seniors. As both a resident and a community advocate, I have spent 2 weeks researching this application. I am new in the neighborhood. This building, third time, is brand new. It just opened a few months ago. I have been only living here 3 months, but I have a lot of inner city experience. In my personal and professional experience, I have tremendous hospitality. I'm a licensed bartender myself and do party service, so I understand that business. And I want to say, we have great appreciation for the history of Silver Platter, something I'm not aware of, but through the research and through the testimony I have heard, it's not about denying Silver Platter an opportunity to exist. I am an entrepreneur myself. I have a 30-year business history, 30 plus years in the LA garment industry. It's just about location, location, location. I'll continue. The applicant has focused much on its response regarding drinking and driving. I appreciate that concern. However, it only addresses one issue. I respectfully ask the planning department to look at the whole picture. The whole picture must include schools within approximately 200 feet of this proposed 2-bar serving children and young people. Jesse has stated that they're going to have live entertainment from 6 p.m. Yes, that's a small location. 1,300 feet is not large. The seating they say is for 30 people. It's not clear what the capacity of the establishment will be. Is it based on 30 people seating? You have standing room only? What is going to be the actual capacity, legal capacity of that property? So you talk about their work with the LAUSD regarding weekend events and activities that are frequent every weekend. These schools have tremendous activities. The Contreras School is a pride and joy of the LAUS school district. It is a massive property. I believe it has an Olympic-sized swimming pool and everything else. So it serves not only this community, but I haven't done the research on what that school offers, but just based on their property, I would logically deduce that they have competitions there that are statewide or citywide.
Miss Marie, I just wanted to make sure that your questions are answered.
Okay.
So I just want to make a list of the questions that you have, and then we can have, the applicant.
Okay, so the question would be, how are they, when they talk about how they're going to work with the school district when there's weekend events and stuff like that, what does that look like? What does that look like is the question. When the bar is open from 12 to 2 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday, and you have major competitions at both schools, you have activities, organization, you have lots of things that involve the kids. The bar is still open. Are they going to close while you have so many children and everything and families circulating in the area? What does their coordination with the school district look like? So that would need more clarification. Okay. So, okay, so then you have the issue of crime and things like that. I understand that the bar has a history of being a good place, a quiet place. I don't know how quiet it can be when you have live entertainment in such a very, very tight community. And you also have a full apartment complex above the establishment. There is no way that live entertainment will be silenced to those residents. It's impossible. The place is not insulated to that effect. Everybody walking by, everybody living there will hear the beat of the drum. Really? Okay.
So I have number one, coordination with the kids around the area. Number two, noise.
The noise, and then the parking. I don't have that much time, but I have to make the parking situation a major issue. There is zero parking here. I'm not able to post up the pictures and videos. Some of my technology is a little challenged, but the parking is non-existent. Every single day.
And I just want to make sure everyone has an opportunity. I don't want people to leave because they.
Yeah. Okay. So the parking is non-existent. To think that their patrons are going to only walk there or take the bus is unbelievable. It's not realistic. They will drive.
So other than those three, are there any other questions that you would have?
The potential for crime, I don't know if everyone's aware, but we had the suicide. We had a person jump off a balcony just 2 weeks ago here. We have a special community here that is influenced by drugs and alcohol, and we don't need anything else that might in any way exacerbate that access. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marie. I acknowledge your efforts on What About Us and what you're doing for the quality of life for seniors. So thank you for that. And I will make sure that those 4 issues are addressed when we get into the rebuttals.
Okay, Ms. Christine, thank you.
All right, next speaker, please. Brian, I don't know if you can take a look at the list and let me know who the next speakers are.
Lisa Hernandez is unmuted.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Julissa Hernandez, and I'm speaking on behalf of LA Unified School District. I'm part of the Office of Government Relations. And as mentioned earlier, LAUSD has submitted a formal letter of opposition for the record, and LHC District respectfully opposes the proposed bar project for this specific location. First, the district does recognize and appreciates the establishment's longstanding history in the community and its significance as the LGBTQ gathering space. Our position is not related to the bar's identity or the community it serves. Rather, the concerns are focused on the proposed location and its proximity to its schools and the surrounding circumstances of this area. The proposed location is actually located near 6 LAUSD schools and, as mentioned, adjacent to 2 LAUSD schools. California does recognize schools as sensitive land use when considering alcohol serving establishment, and the proposed location near all 6 of our campuses creates a concern about the compatibility of a late night school of a late night alcohol serving establishment with an educational environment serving minors. And some of the schools that are near this proposed location include Grants Early Education Center, Grad Street Elementary School, South Castro Middle School, and Miguel Contreras Learning Center, and Belmont High School, which encompasses everything from K to 12. Additionally, I'd like to share that the district has already has ongoing concerns regarding the public safety conditions of the surrounding area, which does include prior incidents of gun violence near the school adjacent to this location, which is Miguel Contreras Learning Complex campus. And based on the existing conditions, the district does believe that late night alcohol serving establishments at this location raise additional concerns for the safety and well-being of our students, family, and school staff. The district also has concerns regarding the applicant's prior history of noncompliance with the Alcohol Beverage Control, ABC, State of California regulations, including 2024 disciplinary action that resulted in a 30-day suspension and state revocation. The history does raise concerns regarding the applicant's ability to consistently comply with applicant applicable requirements, particularly at a location immediately adjacent to multiple school campuses. While the district did submit potential conditions of approval in the district's letter of opposition in the event that the city were to approve the project, I do want to highlight that these conditions may help reduce certain impacts. However, the district's suggested conditions would not eliminate the district's fundamental concern regarding the proposed location of late night alcohol serving establishments immediately adjacent to multiple school campuses. For this reason, the district respectfully maintains its opposition to the proposed conditional use permit and urges the city to deny the request. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your statement. And I think my planner just submitted or sent over your letter as well. So I have that for the record. All right, next speaker, please.
LA Conservancy, please unmute.
Morning. My name is Andrew Salimi, and I'm the Director of Advocacy for the LA Conservancy. I've been working with the Silver Platter team for the better part of about 2 years now, since we learned early about their displacement at their previous location, and we've been working towards a suitable outcome. And I think the outcome before you today is the best outcome for everyone involved. This is a community that has special needs, special concerns. It's an LGBTQ community that serves mostly undocumented and immigrant people. And especially in the last year, that community has come under extreme threat from ICE raids, from federal government policy that has been discriminatory against the people that are served. So this bar serves a very critical need. I'm really I will push back on the public safety concerns. This is a very, very quiet neighborhood. And if you know the area, because it is a school function during the day, largely school functions, at night it's very, very quiet. And I think that is what contributes to the safe feeling of unsafeness, and I don't think it is a particularly unsafe neighborhood. But the lack of activity, the lack of storefronts, and the lack of engagement really on the street is what's causing these problems. The senior housing building that was created three months ago, similarly, their seniors come in and out, but at night they're largely at home. And this is a fundamental kind of preservation ideal that we need to activate streets at different times and have activation to create a sense of safety. And that's what will be addressed by Silver Platter. I think the conditions are strong. I think, having a security guard is important. I live in a neighborhood that has had some issues, and there's a local restaurant that's open late and they have a security guard, and it makes the world of a difference. And you can go to the other side of the street and it won't have the same security. So I really do think this is an opportunity to uplift and create a dynamic experience in the neighborhood. I I want to speak on the sign specifically, which is one of the things that is before you today. The sign from the Silver Platter actually predates the bar as an LGBTQ bar. As far as we understand, it goes back to either the 1920s or the early 1930s. And when the Silver Platter came in, they adopted the name of a previous restaurant that was probably just a typical, greasy spoon in Westlake. And the idea, and this is common for many LGBTQ bars, is they co-opt a popular idea and they fit in, and it's a seamless transition into the neighborhood. So in the 50s and 60s, when the LGBTQ community had even more difficult challenges, people that drove by the Silver Platter, those who knew it was an LGBTQ bar, the sign was a beacon. And for those who were not LGBTQ members of the community, it looked like a regular diner. And I think that's what we want to bring back to the community. I will just say, this bar operates after hours when most kids are home, but having the sign there is an important element. It's the one historic element that we've been able to really identify as a character-defining feature of the legacy business. So we fully support the reintroduction of the sign. We've worked really closely with MONA, the Museum of Neon Art. And I will also just recognize the Silver Platter was nationally recognized by Latinos in Heritage Conservation as an endangered Latinx place. It was in the inaugural class of endangered Latinx places. There are similar lists like the 11 Most Endangered, which is run by the National Trust. And because of the story, the Latinos in Heritage Conservation really chose to highlight Silver Platter. So it's usually the first one that's associated in most of their advertising for the program. So that's it. We fully support the program, and I do think the conditions will help, but I think some of these security issues are unfounded. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker, please.
Caller with the last four digits, 3603. Please press *9 to unmute. And they dropped their hand.
It might be helpful to have some of the instructions in Spanish. I believe some of the supporters are monolingual Spanish speaking.
Unfortunately, I don't speak Spanish, and on the letter that we send out 24 days in advance, it says if you need Spanish speaking to request it, and then we would have a translator. So unfortunately, we don't have a translator, but maybe somebody who does speak Spanish can speak next, and then they can make that comment at the end, and then we can have anyone who is Spanish speaking. So a call out there for anyone who is making a comment and does speak Spanish. Doesn't have to be the next caller, but it could be whenever you do come on.
I'm going to move on to Martha Vasquez. Please unmute.
Good morning. My name is Martha Vasquez, and I do speak Spanish. So maybe at the end of my comment, I can give instructions to the person that's on the line.
Thank you.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Martha Vasquez. I'm here on behalf of the Silver Platter, and I want to speak to what this place actually is, because I think that's the question in front of you. The Silver Platter has served this community for more than 60 years. It is family owned. My mother owns it. It is not a new bar coming to the neighborhood. It is a neighborhood institution asking to keep its doors open in a neighborhood that it has belonged to. For 60 years, this has been a place where people had nowhere else to go to be safe. This is not marketing language. This is the documented history of this business. And it's why people who have never stepped foot in Westlake know its name. I have spent months, at least since November, talking to the people who live and work around 1403 West 3rd Street. I have personally also knocked on doors. I've assisted to hold food distributions on this block. We've collected signatures from residents and businesses owner who want us there. Those signatures are on the record, on your record, with the names, the addresses from the people who live there now and who will live here after this hearing. We have also worked directly with LAPD Rampart Division on how we operate. We did not want to wait to be asked. We went to them because being a good neighbor is not a condition where we're accepting. It's how the business has survived for 6 years. I want to say something clear. I take seriously the concerns raised by seniors and students and people with disabilities that live nearby. I am a person with a disability. I am a single mother of a daughter who goes to elementary school in the LAUSD school district. I was actually the president of the school site council at my daughter's elementary school for 2 years. Prior to that, I was also the president of the parent policy committee at Para los Niños, one of the neighboring Para los Niños that is at this place as well. When someone says that this business is a threat to people like me, I want you to understand that people like me are the ones that are running it, standing behind it, supporting it, and living with whatever you decide. I understand to know that the place down the street is ran by people who care about what happens on the sidewalk. That's why I've personally opened up the lines of communication, including Ms. Sheila. I've talked to her personally in person to try to, address her concerns. And I will continue to open up those direct lines of communication with the neighbors if allowed to. And I'm telling you, that's what it is. We are those people. We've been with those people for 6 decades now. And we are asking you to let this 6-year-old family business continue serving the community that has kept it alive. Thank you. And then if you need any instructions in Spanish, I'm more than happy to do that. I know one of our speakers is on the phone and he's 6 years old, he's not technologically savvy.
Okay, yeah, if you can make a quick statement saying if you would like to raise your hand to speak, you can provide your statement.
What number, do they have to press anything? Si quiere hablar ahorita, hay un comentario ahorita de tiempo para comentario del público. Si por favor puede poner alto a la mano.
Thank you. And then I understand a little bit of Spanish, so I will try to maybe speak very slowly, and I will repeat it in English just to ensure that I heard it correctly.
Sí, la señora Cristina, ella entiende un poquito de español, entonces si usted va a hacer el comentario, si por favor lo puede hacer lentamente para la señora Cristina, que ella entienda y que lo apunta, por favor.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, moving on to, again, the caller with the last 4 digits, 3603. Press star 9 to unmute.
Estrella 9 para quitarse de mute.
I see they put their hand down again. So maybe a better way to provide feedback, and you can talk to them if there's somebody that you're working with, is they can send it by email as well. And we will include that as part of the record.
Moving
All
on
right,
to...
and the next speaker, please.
Yes. Moving on to LHC, please unmute.
Hi, my name is Salamota Casper, Executive Director of Latinos and Heritage Conservation. We're a national nonprofit that's dedicated to preserving Latinx historic spaces across the U.S. And I am here today because the Silver Platter was recognized as one of LHC's 2025 Endangered Latinx Landmarks, which represents a national list that calls attention to culturally significant places at risk of being lost. We believe that Silver Platter, as being a woman-owned legacy business and one of Los Angeles's longtime standing Latinx LGBTQ plus spaces serving Westlake's working class and immigrant communities for decades, deserves to be preserved and relocated. When I visited the original Silver Platter location, what stood out to me was that the building truly was a community space, and it continues to sustain that. I saw a neighborhood institution, a place where neighbors gather, where conversations were unfolding, where people were experiencing a tangible sense of belonging, and I want to stress a safe belonging, especially to immigrant, queer, and trans Latinx residents who have historically had very few places there that we can consider safe places. Silver Platter is rooted in Westlake, and it intends to stay in Westlake. The proposed location on West 3rd Street is quiet, it's walkable, it's not a destination nightlife district as previously stated, and it's in a residential area where a bar had previously operated. And I think that that's also important to keep in context, that this neighborhood grew up around where in this historic area, there were previous legacy business bars, most importantly in this specific location. So this really keeps the business in that local nightlife, serving the neighborhood community, to serve the same community and continue that space that has already existed in serving its local residents. That continuity matters. And so I really just want to stress that historic preservation, it's more than protecting buildings. It's about safeguarding the places where relationships are formed. I respectfully urge everyone today to view your decision not simply as a land use matter, but as an opportunity to support a woman-owned legacy business, preserve its vital neighborhood institution, and affirm Westlake's living cultural heritage. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughtful consideration.
Thank you so much. Next speaker, please.
Callers with the last 4 digits, 0874, please unmute. And they drop their hand as well. Now their hand's back up. Please unmute. Press *6 if your last 4 digits is 0874. Caller, you are unmuted.
I think is there *6 you have to push to actually unmute as well?
No, they're unmuted.
No, they're muting and unmuting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can't hear you. I'm so sorry.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike Callahan, please unmute.
Good morning. This is Mike Callahan. I write I'm on Substack. I have a blog there called The Dusty Archive. I am calling in. I am a lifelong Angelino. I am a senior citizen, and I want to voice my full support for this application. 2 years ago is when I first got involved with the Silver Platter project. I investigated the history of the original building. It was very detailed and very deep into the cultural significance of the area, its development, and through a failure of city planning in accepting a flawed project application, I still support the position that the Silver Platter should not be removed from their original home, and that whole project is called into question. I did bring this matter up with the council district. I provided them a detailed roadmap of how they could fight the application that was going in, and that whole procedure they accepted it graciously and then ignored it and failed to act. So I see, the Silver Platter has been put through a lot of pressure and a lot of needless worry about their future. They have now gone out and found a new home, and I wish them well. I hope it does very well. I hope city planning supports this application and doesn't continue to turn their back on a legacy business. I know the first caller had a lot of talk and was really stressing about it isn't a LGBTQ issue, it isn't a race issue, but what it is actually is a morality issue. There are people, usually when you reach the senior age, that are very much against the concept of alcohol and alcohol sales. And so you hear the standard complaints about the business, none of them based on fact. I mean, the Silver Platter has not moved into the spot, and now 1 or 2 years down the road, you are responding to true, actual complaints. All of the complaints that are lodged are hypothetical of what could be. And frankly, I find a lot of them to be disingenuous. For example, there was mention of many elementary schools in the area. Well, I don't know of any second grader or third graders who attend night school. Night school is usually focused on an adult, at least a late teen or early adult audience, or even a middle-age audience that's trying to learn new skills. So the exposed community, especially but when I heard that the Silver Platter is proposing not to open until 4 o'clock on weekdays, I think that's very, that is a valid approach to avoiding any conflict or any potential problems there. So I'm just going to leave it, though. I just want to say I do fully support this application, and I hope city planning rules in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Okay. Caller with the last 4 digits, 4611, please unmute.
Hello, my name is Mirza Reyes, and I live in the apartment, on the apartment next to it is 1417 West 3rd Street. And we had a problem in the past with the bar was there. And the whole problem is the parking and the noise. I do not agree with it. It's horrible. It's inconvenience for us people who wake up very early to go to work, and the noise doesn't let us sleep. That is so inconvenient for us, for our children, which they go to the school. They cannot even sleep because of the noise. The parking, they block our entrance because they park right in front of it. So sometimes we go outside in the night, we want to come in, and it's impossible because cars are parked there. People are drinking outside. It's so inconvenient. I respect your culture. I respect the many years you are on, which is nice, but this is not convenient for them because it will block us. It will be not convenient for us neither. So that's the whole thing that I want to comment on it. Parking, noise, and the blocking. It's not convenient for us. It's not even convenient for them because then we got to go and knock on the door and say, please, can someone move their car? It's so not prepared. It's not acceptable. I am against. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
And can I ask Miss Vasquez to say this in Spanish? Caller or Zoom user in Spanish, please unmute.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
La persona que está en Zoom en español, por favor, puede quitar el muto. Evelyn?
Sí, no,
Evelyn, sí las podemos escuchar. Sí puede hablar.
es en el otro celular, o el del trabajo.
Sí, bueno. ¿Aló? Evelyn? Evelyn,
They,
sorry, go ahead.
hi, we can hear you if you'd like to make a comment.
Evelyn, sí la podemos escuchar si usted quiere hacer un comentario.
Okay, it sounds like perhaps she can submit her comment online as well, and she can do that in Spanish, and we will have that translated. Okay, and next speaker, please.
Yes, ma'am. Anna S., please unmute.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Let me be brief. My name is Ann Stockwell. I'm a former editor-in-chief of the Advocate magazine. So during my time at the magazine, which I was there 15 years, we're extremely involved with, proud of the fact that the queer civil rights movement in America really dates back before Stonewall in New York City in 1969. The Advocate, my magazine, goes back to 1967 and a raid at a neighboring gay bar in LA, the Black Cat. I just want to say very briefly that when it was brought to my attention that the Silver Platter was, under siege, as it were, I didn't know anything about the Silver Platter. And that's why it's important to state my history, because I am a person who comes from the queer mainstream, which is, I should have known about it. I should have known about this institution, and yet I did not. And I've had a chance to study now and realize that the culture that this bar has served, the Latina trans culture in particular, it is doubly important now to preserve it, to honor it, and to report further. So that's all just to say that it's extremely important as a matter of history, and in the spirit of resistance for Los Angeles, to do everything that we can to support this institution. Very briefly also, it does seem that none of us would be having this conversation if not for the lax city planning and the fact that nobody was alert to the fact that there really was historic activity that should be preserved and honored at the original location. It sounds to me now, still coming new to the situation, like, that ship has sailed and there's no possibility of saving the original location. You know what? I'm sure everyone on this call agrees that is very unfortunate and wrong and damaging in terms of our queer history. That said, I am really moved to hear of the family's determination to continue the business, to keep the sign lit at night, and to continue the history. And it's my hope that people like me in the larger queer community will be able to show up and support them, whatever they do. Just to sum up, I suppose it is impossible to speak for the original location, but in the original location, there are none of these problems with surrounding elementary schools and so on that we're hearing about. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that's not just an irrelevant comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Callers with the last four digits, 3603, please unmute.
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Ronnie Lopez. Actually, I'm just gonna tell this. I'm living in the neighborhood for more than 10 years. And I understand everybody has the right to have a business. I don't have a post about the business, but the problem is we're supposed to have it here on the neighborhood because the most people talking, they don't live in here. We have the problem with the parking lot. problem with the noise. Actually, my apartment is exactly on top of the businesses. Thanks God we removed the other business on there, taxi, bar, something like that. And now we have some kind of peace. This is a noisy place, but still have some kind of peace. We have a business like that. With music until 1, 2 o'clock, it's going to be very hard for us. I'm talking on behalf of a bunch of people, like 40 persons right here on the side of me. And it's all what I can say. I'm so sorry. I know they need a place for the business, but I hope they find a better place if you prevent to open this place right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other speakers?
I see no other raised hands.
Peter Flores is on the line. He's having some technological because he's also a little bit senior, but he says he's ready to talk. If you can just help unmute him.
And which phone number is that? Is that the 0874?
I see a Peter Flores.
Yeah, that's Peter Flores.
Okay.
Peter, you're unmuted.
Unfortunately, we still don't hear him. Martha, if you know what Peter would like to say, you can go ahead and let us know. And then Peter, you can send us an email, or if you'd like to send us an email right now as well, that's fine. My email is Christine, CHRISTINE, .saponara, SAPONARA, @lacity.org. And we will incorporate that. I will read it right now if you send it, and incorporate it into our questioning as well as into the record. But Martha, if you know what he's going to say, you can go ahead and let us know.
Yes, Ms. Christine, I do have his comment, and it says, "Good morning. My name is Peter Flores, and I'm speaking in support of item number 4, the Silver Platter, case number ZA 2026-256, Cub SPPC. I'm a patron of the Silver Platter, and I'm here because the bar is not just a business to me. It's the oldest Latino LGBTQ plus bar in Westlake District. It has been open since 1963. For Latino gay men in this city, including me, it has been one of the very few places where you can walk in and not have to explain yourself, where you could be Latino and gay in the same room at the same time without leaving a part of yourself at the door. I'm 60 years old. I want to be honest with you what that means. In West Hollywood, it is not kind to older gay men, and it is even less kind to older Latino gay men. There are not many rooms left in the city where a man my age is welcome, where the music is ours, where the language is ours, where nobody looks past you. The Silver Platter is one of them. For a lot of us, it is the only one. That is not something you can rebuild somewhere else from scratch. It exists because generations of people have made it exist, and it survived 60 years when places like it were not safe to exist. I understand that neighbors have questions about a bar in their neighborhood, and I think those questions are fair, but I want the zoning administrator to understand what is actually being decided here. This is not a new bar coming into the neighborhood. This is a 60-year-old institution asking for permission to keep its doors open a few blocks away. If the Silver Platter closes, it will not be replaced. Places like this are not replaceable. They are lost. They are only lost. I respectfully ask you approve the conditional use permit. Thank you, Peter Flores." And he was going to add a little bit more, but I just got the gist of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so do we have any other speakers?
I see no other raised hands other than Peter Flores.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you everyone for your comments. I want you to know that everything is heard loud and clear. I understand there are concerns with the location and the issues with noise. And that has nothing to do with the facility or the cultural significance of the facility. Oh, I see there is a comment from Helen Campbell from Council District 1. So I would like to allow her the opportunity to speak as well.
Oh, yes. Hi. Thanks, everyone. I know Kyle, our planning deputy, we just wanted to ask if how long the record would be open for. We wanted to listen to everybody's comments today and also submit a letter, but we wanted to understand how long the record might be open for.
We still haven't decided that, so that will be towards the end, Helen. But if you have a suggestion, if you'd like to request that the record be open for a certain amount of time, I'm happy to take your suggestion.
Okay, great. We, typically it takes us about like a good week, just to kind of go through and process all of the sort of responses. So maybe if anything from 1 week to 2 weeks should be sufficient.
Okay, how about we start at 15?
1 week? Okay.
30 days. We can talk with the applicant a little bit more. So,
okay.
All right. Thank you so much. So now I will close the public comment period and I will hear from the applicant's representative. Can you please respond to the concerns that were raised? And I just have a list of issues here for you to discuss regarding location near the schools, hours of operation, quality of life concerns. So if you can provide some your rebuttal towards that. And I also have some questions as well that maybe get a little bit more specific about those issues.
Absolutely. Thank you again for the opportunity to represent this really important application and business. First, I first off want to speak to the concerns about noise. And I know a couple of the callers mentioned the previous bar operator here. As I talked about in my presentation, the record shows that there has been a bar located here since at least 1965. That was the earliest record we were able to find of a bar mentioned at this location. But it is also important to note that that bar was not regulated. In fact, in doing our research, we found that there were multiple building code violations associated with that operator. He had been in fact, in our discussions with LAPD, that's one of the things that they brought up, was that he had been a long time nuisance in the neighborhood, the previous operator. There had been gang-related activity associated with his bar. Those are not things that are associated with the Silver Platter or their clientele. And I do want to emphasize that by seeking, he never had a conditional use permit. As far as we can tell, he never really even had permission from ABC. I mean, the inside of the bar, there's like exposed wiring, and it's a mess in terms of building and safety. And that would all be brought up to code by the current operator, as well, in conjunction with this conditional use permit that they're seeking, which again would allow regulation. So they could, of course, be subject to the city's noise ordinance under the Los Angeles Municipal Code. If it is found that the noise level exceeds that allowed by the citywide noise regulation, and this is, of course, I'm sure, as you know, a standard condition of approval for bars and establishments that are serving alcohol. If it's found to exceed those noise levels, then the owner operator would be notified and would be required to modify or eliminate the source of noise or retain an acoustical engineer to recommend design and implementation noise control measures within the property, such as noise barriers, sound absorbers, or buffer zones. I also just want to emphasize that this is not a bar that is, their business model is not being a loud, noisy bar. That is sort of the opposite of what they're aiming for. They're really looking to be, and they have operated as a quiet neighborhood gathering space And that's something that they have to do to keep their patrons safe. If they were sort of a loud, noisy bar like you find in an entertainment district like in West Hollywood or something, then that wouldn't actually create a safe environment for them either. And that leads to the other concern I wanted to speak to, and that is safety. We understand, and I think anyone can understand the neighborhood safety concern. I mean, that's probably the number one thing that people look for in any neighborhood. If it's a neighborhood where you're sending your children to go to school, if it's a neighborhood where you are shopping or where you're choosing to live, probably the number one issue is how safe it is. And that's completely understandable. And an earlier caller brought this up, and I think it's a really good point, is that right now, for at least the past 1.5, 2 years, the proposed location has been vacant. So not only did it have a delinquent operator in it previously, but it's been a vacant space, and therefore the history of that location, I think, has been one that has contributed to a lack of safety in the neighborhood. Anyone, of course, knows that living in a neighborhood with vacant parcels, vacant commercial sites, it doesn't create a feeling of safety, and in fact, it can help foster unsafe activities. By activating the space, not just activating the space, having people on site, but having concerned business owners and having on-site security that would be there during all operational hours, and having security cameras, which the applicant has already agreed to in conversation with LAPD, that would create a net benefit of safety in the area. It would, of course, mean that there are eyes on the street, but it also means that there are enforcement mechanisms and mechanisms for vigilance in the neighborhood to make sure that if anything happened, whether it's associated with the bar or not, if that's captured by the cameras, that creates an opportunity for accountability. And then the other thing I wanted to speak to, one of the callers, I think, misunderstood that there would be live entertainment from 6 p.m. on during the weekdays. That's not the case. The suggested condition of approval from LAUSD was that there would be no live entertainment before 6 p.m. And that's what the applicant is agreeing to. There is no proposal to have live entertainment, and there's certainly no proposal to have live entertainment from 6 p.m. on. In fact, in the hours just following the bar's opening, there is likely to be very little activity happening. This is, it's like someone said earlier, this is really an evening and nighttime use. It's not something that's active, super active during the day. And then the other thing that came up a couple of times was parking. And I understand that parking is a sensitive issue. We could, of course, incorporate a condition related to parking and making sure that the driveway to the apartment building that's above the proposed use is not blocked. I could totally understand how inconvenient that would be for people living in the apartment building. I want to point out a couple of things. One, this property is securely within the AB 2097 eligible area, meaning that the city is prohibited from enforcing a parking minimum. Two, this site, as has been mentioned several times, historically contained a bar, and that bar also did not have, none of the uses on this block have parking devoted to them, and that's because this building is so old and this neighborhood is so old. It was originally developed around the streetcar line, and parking wasn't a need then, and in order to preserve this building, the only way to incorporate parking, right, on-site parking, would be to demolish part of the building, and I don't think that's consistent with the goals of the community or the stated goals of the community plan. And then the other thing I wanted to point out is that the current building in which they're located also does not have parking. This is really, again, a neighborhood serving bar. The whole reason that they want to move to this location is to remain within the neighborhood of the community that they serve. Their patrons are not driving in from across town. These aren't people coming from the Valley or coming from Santa Monica. These are locals who patronize this bar, and that is really the whole reason that they want to remain in this neighborhood. Let's see, there are other things. So there were questions about coordination with the local schools. As we mentioned before, and as was clear on this call, we've been in contact with LAUSD. We could continue to be in contact with LAUSD. We are also amenable to adjusting hours of operation, especially on days when there are school activities that could potentially interact with the bar activity times. And yeah, this is a neighborhood institution. This is not a corporate-owned bar that's going to be difficult to contact the operators. They are on site and they also live in the neighborhood. Were there other questions that you specifically wanted me to respond to?
All right, thank you so much for your comments. Hold on for a second while I make some notes here. Okay. So I have some questions regarding, I'm sorry, did you finish your comments? Because it kind of trailed off the audio. You finished all your.
Yes, and then I asked if there were other questions that you wanted me to.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you. That's, for some reason my audio keeps going in and out, but I did hear you say that. Okay.
Is this better? I adjusted my input volume.
Now it's much better because it was very, like getting lower and lower. Okay. All right. So I have a series of questions and they're all related to different topics. So I'm going to start off with the location near the schools. Because I was a little confused because you did show a statement from a principal from an academy, but there, and I don't believe that was an LAUSD school, or maybe it was a charter school at an LAUSD location. So maybe you can explain that. But the bigger question is, the record indicates that there's 6 LAUSD schools in proximity. Can you describe how you evaluated the relationship between the proposed bars and these nearby schools?
Yes, so you are correct. The bar's current location at 2700 7th Street on the corner of Rampart and 7th is proximate to 2 Equitas Academy locations. And so, yeah, that is a charter school. I don't believe it is an LAUSD school. But I wanted to provide the testimony of that principal to sort of show that there is a history of the bar operating near school sites and not being disruptive. And in fact, her letter, which is of course in the public record, was not just a letter saying, there's been no problems. She attests that this space has been an asset to the community. And she sees it as part of creating a well-rounded, safe community, which is in line with the goals of the school as well. I suppose what I'll say is that, we acknowledge that this is a dense location in the city, and cities by their very nature are places where there are lots of uses, a lot of different uses operating near each other. And the best that we can do here is to impose conditions that make sure that those uses are compatible and not disruptive with each other. And so I wanted to just highlight that in this census tract, according to the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, this census tract allows up to 5 on-site alcohol establishments and 2 off-site. And currently there are 4 on-site and 1 off-site. That one off-site is the 7-Eleven down the street, which I would argue is probably easier for a kid to get an alcoholic beverage from, because at a bar, someone has to serve you the beverage. It's behind a it's cloistered. And then of course there's security at the front who's checking ID. It wouldn't really be an easy place for a child to walk into and be able to access any kind of alcoholic beverage. But I also just want to highlight that this census tract, again, based on the California Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, is not saturated in terms of, not at all saturated. And if I'm honest, I know that there's provisions in the state law that allow a city to approve an application where there is saturation based on those California ABC standards. This is probably the first CUB application I've ever represented where we're not trying to make that argument. We're actually saying like this area has fewer businesses than California ABC serving alcohol than California ABC allows. And so I know that in and of itself is not, it doesn't set a floor for how many establishments can be in this census tract. But I do think it's worth acknowledging that this would not cause it's not like there's a ton of businesses over here that are concentrated that are selling alcohol. And this is, again, because they've been located near two school sites in the past, an operator with a history that knows how to conduct business in a responsible manner and has done so well enough that the principal of those schools highly recommends and supports this application. As was mentioned, we've been in contact with LAUSD. I understand their stance. I know from other cases where I have been both an applicant and a decision maker that LAUSD typically takes that position when there is an application near one of their schools. I'm on the planning commission in the city where I live, and there was a construction of a housing project near an LAUSD school, and they submitted a very similar letter of opposition. I totally understand why they have to take that position, but it's sort of a standard position for them to take. I don't think that it is specific to this bar or this operator or this business and how they conduct themselves in the neighborhood.
Wonderful, thank you. With regards to the hours of operation, can you explain the anticipated hours of operation, including the latest hour you anticipate remaining open?
Yes. So they are proposing hours of operation Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. They would be amenable to adjusting those hours depending on school events. In fact, they specifically propose those hours of operation to be built around school days and school events. So in the event that there was a school activity, for instance, an athletic event that went later into the night, this is, again, a family-run bar, and unlike a corporate bar where they have these strict standards and they say this is the only way we operate, and you have this whole corporate chain to work through and to get us to change it. Because these are family operators, they could be in contact with the school, and the school could let them know there is an event. I know the school publishes a calendar ahead of time, and that could be consulted as well to adjust hours of operation. They are very close to their clientele. It is something that they could easily advertise days or weeks ahead of time to say, hey, we're going to be closed until 9 p.m. or until 10 p.m. But like another caller said who called in, it's unlikely that a school is going to be operating until 2 a.m. or even midnight or even past, say, 9 p.m. at the latest for like an athletic event. So I think that this bar could easily be compatible with the surrounding school uses. And in fact, all across the city, there are bars and alcohol serving establishments that are in proximity to schools. And lastly, those hours of operation, those proposed hours of operation were formulated, again, in conversation with LAUSD and LAPD, and by looking at the school's operating hours for those nearby institutions.
Okay, perhaps when you work with council office, maybe if you have a meeting with council office, and the council office can connect with LAUSD, they can come up with a couple of dates, like maybe the day of prom or homecoming or something. Maybe those days you can kind of coordinate so that kids are not tempted to like cross the street and hop by. I know there's security, but just perhaps there could be a list of days that you can work with. I see Julisa's hand is raised, so maybe you're from LAUSD, correct? Just double check here. Yes, if you can allow Julisa to speak.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, just a question. Who were you in contact with, Jesse, regarding the hours of operation that you just mentioned that you coordinated with LAUSD?
Yeah, so this was from our meeting I believe it was last December. We presented these hours of operation and these proposed conditions of approval on that day to get feedback from LAUSD.
Thank you. If I'd just like to clarify, that meeting in December that was held with LAUSD and Jesse, along with the bar owners, was to gather information on the proposed suggested, but we mentioned at the end of the meeting that the district, if we were to take any opposition or any, if we were to take a position on this item or we had any of the recommendations, that we would do it in the formal process of our letter, and it was just a listening opportunity for us. The district didn't coordinate any sort of hours with the owners or Jesse during that December meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I do want to clarify that these were, as I mentioned, formulated in conversation with LAUSD. I don't mean to imply that LAUSD suggested these hours of operation. We looked at the hours of operation of the nearby schools, and that is why we proposed these hours in our conversations with LAUSD.
Okay, thank you so much. And then, how frequently do you anticipate live entertainment occurring?
I don't know that there's a set schedule of live entertainment. If it pleases the decision maker and stakeholders, that could be something that's submitted, or there could be allowance for special events. I know that's a common practice with alcohol serving institutions. I see Martha's hand is up. I don't know if it's allowable to allow her to speak.
Yeah, sure. Martha, maybe you have an answer to that.
Yeah, live entertainment's not really part of the bar like that. It's like bandas that come in culturally, like it's a thing. But there's no need to have a live entertainment at all, if needed. We're totally amenable to that, or whatever Jesse says. Jesse, thank you so much.
So perhaps we can list it as a special event. So we could say no live entertainment, except for special events, and we can limit the special events. Would once a month be acceptable if we were to approve it?
Yes, that would be totally acceptable. Thank you, Ms. Christine.
All right. And then I know you probably don't know, but what type of entertainment? Would it be acoustic, DJ, amplified music, performance, or any other kind of programming?
Whatever, we're amenable to whatever you guys decide. I will definitely leave it to Jessie. She's the expert on this, and we're relying on her because she's, I don't know, whatever you guys decide. We're just trying to survive.
And then what's the proposed occupancy during entertainment events compared to normal operations?
So according to the plans that were the floor plan that was drawn up for the bar, as the previous caller said, there is room for 31 seats. And of course, this is really for the benefit of members of the public. The occupancy is calculated based on the floor plans and the amount of square footage where someone could be standing or someone could be sitting. So the maximum occupant load, and this is based on the fire department's calculations, is 99. It is unlikely that 99 people will ever be in this bar. Like we said, there's 31 seats, so it is likely that that is the number of patrons somewhere around or below that that would actually be present. But the occupant load is up to 99. In the case of live entertainment, I don't know that we have a different occupant load based on the provision of live entertainment. And in fact, I don't really know that there's not a natural like stage or place for live entertainment in this bar. And so, yeah, I don't think that occupant load would necessarily change if there was live entertainment. But yeah, that is something that could be incorporated into a condition of approval, that if there's a special event that the occupancy shouldn't exceed a certain number.
Okay. And then would you consider limiting amplified events or entertainment to a certain hours to address concerns from nearby residents?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that any amplified sound in conjunction with complying with the municipal code's noise regulations, any amplified sound could be limited to ceasing by midnight or whatever you find suitable based on the testimony of stakeholders. The other thing that I did want to highlight, one of LAUSD's suggested conditions of approval was to return in a year for another hearing. I know that is fairly standard practice for CUB applications, and that is definitely something that the applicant would be amenable to because I think she knows how the business operates. And yeah, I think they'd be happy to return in a year and evaluate the operations and how it has or has not impacted nearby stakeholders.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And then regarding the quality of life concerns, the hearing record includes testimony from nearby senior residents concerned about noise and quality of life impacts. How will the operator ensure that the residents nearby are not adversely affected?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, they could agree to the condition that there would be no amplified sound that can be audible from outside of the bar. And what amplified sound is present could be controlled by an acoustic system that would be approved by building and safety, basically. And again, that's a condition that I've seen show up in other CUB applications, and especially CUB applications where there are nearby sensitive uses like residences, like schools, parks, libraries. And yeah, this is, as we said, it's not really it's not this big noisy bar. And I think the operators are amenable to any conditions that regulate their noise, because they don't